What's up you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jenny and I'm that props girl. And today I'm going to be telling you 3 helpful tips which are going to level up your props game. Now, when I mean 3 tips, I mean 3 small details which often get missed but are so important. And so if you are looking at trying to level up your props and just make the overall appearance of a show or TV or movie or film look a little bit better, here are my top 3 tips to help you guys improve. And these are things that I constantly see and always notice, and if I'm noticing them, the chances that someone else in the audience is noticing them is pretty high as well. So if you are keen to see that, then stick around. Be sure to smash that like button because it lets me know you want to see more content like this, as well as consider hitting that subscribe button and bell so that you don't miss a single one of my uploads, and it also helps me to grow here on the platform. And with all that said and done, let's jump straight into this video. Alright, so tip number 1 is to do with bags. So if you've got an actor and they maybe have a handbag or they have a carrier bag or something like that, or grocery bags, my strongest piece of advice is to put something in those bags. Now I know that it sounds super simple, but the amount of times I have seen an actor enter a stage with a bag that's clearly empty is outstanding. So I have an example. I bought some props to show you guys. So here is a bag that one might take to the gym or something like that. So as you can see, hanging here by itself, it's pretty lifeless. It doesn't have much shape or form. But you know when you buy a pair of shoes and sometimes, you know, they'll come in a box and they've got like the toes stuffed and they've got tissue paper in there? It's kind of the same principle. So what you want to do is actually give life and body to the shape of this prop. In a bag this size, it's pretty easy. What I tend to do is I like to grab a pillow or some fabric and I will just pop that into the bag. So I'm just going to pop that in now. So there, you can already see that it's already taken on a lot more body. Now, what this actually just means is, it's like, say you've got a character who's entering the stage and they've come from the gym or something like that. This just makes it look like, to an audience member, oh, yep, I can believe that. Is the audience member sitting there going, they've put something in that bag? Probably not. But as I constantly say, if you've done your job well as a props designer, it shouldn't look like you've done your job at all. Basically, what that means is it should look right. So the audience shouldn't be looking at this picture going, something's wrong here, but I can't put my finger on it, because that little tiny part of their brain is actually detracting them from what's going on in the scene. So your job as a props designer is actually to help the audience focus on what's happening on the stage. It's not to pull focus. It's a strange place to be in, which is often why props gets overlooked, but they are so important. And so this is just one little detail that you can do to make things look more realistic. And it's the same thing goes for handbags, and as I say, grocery bags as well. Now you can vary out what you're putting in these bags, and if you've got additional props that need to be in these bags, there are other things that you can do to make sure that those props are accessible. One of the things that I like to do, if I've got a bag like this and say that I have an actor who needs to pull a phone out or a book or something like that, what I would do is, obviously, I've popped a pillow in this. That's fairly flat as it is. Make sure that whatever you've popped in there is filling up the entire space. So the likelihood of the prop in question moving is slim. If you can actually make like a little pocket or maybe put a band in there to slip the props under so that they don't move. You can also put an additional layer in. Again, I sometimes do this with fabric or cardboard just to separate the filling stuff from the actual prop. So there are a few different things that you can workshop there, and obviously it depends on how the bag or item in question is being treated in the scene. You might have to workshop that one a little bit, but this is just a tip to get the ball rolling here, and I hope you guys have learned something there. On to tip number 2. This was also about carrying things, but this is actually to do with boxes. So if you have a character who's carrying a box, one of my pet peeves is when a character picks up a box and you can really tell there's nothing in that box, and it's just a token prop put in there to go like, oh, we need a box. That's fantastic. But if the box is meant to be heavy and there's nothing in that box, the actor is going to have to work a lot harder to make you believe that that box is heavy. Now, I'm going to give you an example from the TV show Friends to show this being done really well.
Could you guys help me? Yeah, let me get that for you.
It's really heavy.
I got it. So hi, I'm Ross, and it's my friend Chandler. Oh my God.
All right, so what we saw in this scene, Ross is stooping because of the fact that the box is heavy. Whether that prop is actually heavy or not, I don't know. I assume it probably isn't, but the actor is doing an extremely good job in actually holding it so that the audience believes that it's heavy, because if something is heavy, genuinely people do tend to hold it lower. So these are the little kinds of details which maybe you need to work with your actors on, and something that a director's probably gonna have to pick up on. But if you have an actor who can't remember, because they've got a lot going on, to hold said box, you might also want to put something in it that's a little bit, not necessarily heavy, but something weighted, like a sheet or a couple of sheets, to actually just remind them to go, I need to hold this a little bit lower. And another thing as well, this is more just in terms of, you know, maintenance of said box. Cardboard is one of those things that it has a shelf life. So if you've got a long season of shows and that box is being chucked around, the chances are that it might get a little bit damaged. But you can do some things to improve the longevity of those boxes. What I like to do, if the box is not being opened, great. So I tend to put tape down the corners on the inside of the box to just brace it a little bit, and I will do the same with the bottom. Depending on whether the box is being opened will depend on what kind of tape you can use. If you can use something more durable like a gaff tape or a duct tape, fantastic. But if that box is being opened, you might need to go for a packing tape. And the same thing goes for the exterior as well. You might not want to brace things on the outside, so that just comes down to an aesthetics thing. You might be able to get away with some clear packing tape on the bottom, especially if it's a box that, you know, is for moving or has come in the mail or something in the scene. That just depends. But the more you can actually brace that box to keep it together and just give it a bit more sturdiness, the longer it's actually going to be able to last within the scene itself. On to number 3, and this is my absolute favorite and my biggest pet peeve. All right, I actually need a little table. Here's one I prepared earlier. And if you want to see the video of how I made this little table, I did this in, I think, 2020, and it was a very long time ago, but I will link that video. So I'm just going to move so you guys can see said table. Okay, so have you ever been watching a TV show or a movie and someone has a cup of coffee? Okay, here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, here's my takeaway coffee cup. Now, the reason why this is my pet peeve is because so many people put nothing in these cups. That's fine. I understand why, but what it does, it allows the actor to move their hand. And that is a dead giveaway that the coffee cup has got nothing in it, because you can see I'm moving my hand to talk. If this had liquid in it, I wouldn't be doing that. And I can prove it because this one has got liquid in it, even though it's only water. But basically you can see that I am holding this cup pretty steady because I don't want to spill the liquid that's in it. The urgency on actually having to hold this cup in a certain way is pretty high. You can also see by the way that my wrists are. This one is very relaxed because it can hold this however it wants, because it knows nothing is going to fall out of this cup. It's fine. This is holding up weight. So my wrist is being held at a certain angle because I don't want to spill the liquid. And another thing that is also a dead giveaway is the sound the coffee cup makes when it is placed on a surface. Listen, this is the empty cup. This is the full cup. It's very, very small. It's a tiny little detail. You may not have been able to pick up on it, but this one sounds like a hollower sound. This one has a dense sound. It sounds full. Why? Because, again, in a takeaway coffee cup, the weight is actually on the outside at the moment because there's nothing on the inside in the center to actually be weighing it down. So it is more of a hollow sound because it's hollow. It literally is. This, on the other hand, it's got weight distributed the entire way across the circle. So of course, it is a more dense sound. It's just one of those small details. But if you can, and you have someone with a takeaway coffee cup, maybe put something in it. And if you don't want to run that risk of something being spilled on a stage, that's fine. You can use so many different mediums to actually make it a more dense sound. You can use gelatin, you can use resin. There are a few different options there, and I have done a video on that in the past, and I'll link that for you as well. And whilst we are on said topic, I also wanted to once again reiterate the issue of not having anything in a glass if you have got actors using liquids on stage. It is my absolute pet peeve is when I see an actor and they have a glass and they're pouring an imaginary liquid into it. I know sometimes it works and that's great, but in a lot of times it really actually detracts the audience, because once again the audience is going, why is there nothing in that cup? And I know that we go through the whole suspend your disbelief thing, but honestly, you're losing part of your audience. So if you can put something in that cup, even if it's water, that's honestly better than not. There are also a lot of options, which again, I went through in the same video, in how to put liquids in that are not going to go anywhere. And if worse comes to absolute worst and you can't put a physical liquid in, paint the glass. Do something to make it look more believable. Honestly, there are so many options that you can do to make water look like scotch, water look like wine. There are so many different options, because if you're worried about something spilling on the stage, use water. I often don't use water, but it's such a great option there. And if you do want to see a video that goes further into the details on this, then I am more than happy to make one for you. All right, so ranting aside, they were my 3 tips in how to make your props more believable. I hope this video has helped somebody out there. Leave me a comment down below with what you thought, and hit the like button if you did enjoy this video, and consider hitting that subscribe button and bell so that you don't miss a single one of my uploads. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.